The hell is up, Chiefs Kingdom? I haven't seen you in a while. I'm happy to be back on Chiefs Focus Live. Caleb, Quentin, and myself. And we're going to talk about the Jaguars game and a few other things that I haven't been able to talk about for the last 2 weeks, and it's been eating at me, man. How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. Glad to be back, man.
I'm glad to be back. Quentin, how are you?
Oh, week 2's coming up. I think it'll be a fun game. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
It's nice here in Kansas City.
Weather's nice?
Oh, yeah. It's
beautiful.
Pretty
good.
Yeah.
I'm
not complaining right now. We're actually in the 80s right now, which is weird for us. It's been a weird year all year, but whatever. I'm okay with it. It's going to be 98 on Sunday, so back to the same old stuff. But it's been an interesting week. Chris Jones came back prior to the Jaguars game, which I was told it was going to be right before it or right after it, and it was right before. I haven't had a chance. I know you guys have probably talked about it on the show, but I haven't had a chance to spit out my 2 cents about this, and I want to do it really quick. I had a feeling it was going to come down to something like this, but they do want to keep him.
Okay.
So he wants to stay. They want to keep him. This is actually a win-win for the Chiefs. No matter how you look at it, it's a win-win. There's only 2 of those. There's a couple of those incentives that are just not attainable. It is what it is. He has to get a certain amount of sacks, whether it be 10 or 15.
It's 10 sacks.
10 sacks the first one. The next one's 15 for another incentive. I understand they're trying to make up some of his fines and all that, and that's fine. I think he's ready to stick around and play. He is suiting up. I don't know how much he's going to play yet on Sunday, but from what I heard, they do want to play him. So
okay.
I'm happy he's back. I don't know about you guys, but I'm happy he's back. I do believe he will sign a contract, from what I'm hearing, a longer-term contract, with at least 2 more years with the Chiefs after this. So I kind of, I'm happy he's back. I don't know what else to say. It's a good thing. We needed him. We do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird. It's a weird contract. I understand why it was done the way it was done on both sides. But I will say that Michael Katz is an idiot because he should have taken the first deal that was offered, because it would have been a lot more money. See, what you're risking right now is Chris Jones, God forbid he gets injured, has a down year. His tag number is already going to be a little bit less anyway because he missed a game. But his stock's going to drop to 0 if he has a rough year or he does get injured. So it's kind of a win-win for the Chiefs. Michael Katz, the younger brother, I believe he is, turned down a deal from the Chiefs, from what I understand, and he shouldn't have done that. And from what I heard, Chris Jones said, enough is enough. I just want to play, and I want to play for the Chiefs. So he took that.
His whole little stunt was very interesting, to sit there in the stands while the team was playing. It didn't sit right with me as a fan. I know what many other fans didn't sit right with. I mean, I don't know how it affects issues in the locker room, but we'll see kind of how it goes this rest of the season. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, everybody was happy to see him back, and from what I heard, everybody was excited to see him there. Kelce and him were having a good old time together, and I think as far as the players are concerned, they know business is business, and it is what it is. Everybody thought the Joey Bosa contract was going to change the perspective of Chris Jones's contract. They're 2 different position players. It is what it is. That's not going to change. It's not going to change the deal with Chris Jones, whether it happens during the season or at the end of the season when they re-sign him or whatever the case is. It's not going to affect anything. Joey Bosa's contract is only going to affect edge rushers. It's not going to affect defensive tackles. It is what it is. Yes, he's the highest paid in history, and he's injury prone. So, I don't know. We'll just have to see how that plays out. But anyway, other than that, I just really wanted to get – I haven't had really a chance to talk about that game. I was a little frustrated with the wide receivers coach. I have to say that. They were running into each other. They didn't know their assignments. They were running the wrong routes. They weren't picking up the second read off of the first call. But I'm not, everybody was blasting Toney. I don't think it was Toney's fault.
Mm-hmm.
The guy went through preseason with no catches. He pretty much went through training camp with no workout. They wanted to get him involved. It was a good game to do it in, get all the rust out of him. And in this game that really meant nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't help her, anything. But I will say that it's nice to see that Joe Burrow got his ass kicked by the Browns again. And it's nice to see that, the Bills are back to their old ways, 4 turnovers in one game. So, and all by Josh Allen. So it's always good to see that. But anyway, what did you guys think about the Toney performance? I mean, did you guys get pissed, or did you just think it was rust?
It's one game. It's rust. Quentin, I mean, he was right. So, Quentin, you can have your moment. He was kind of right.
Oh, don't worry. There's more of those to come.
Oh, there's more. Okay. I mean, I guess JP, we're going to have to eat the crow on that one. But he did have a point. Yeah, not having those reps did hurt. Those reps, not having those reps did hurt. So, we're going to see that was a big issue. But I think ultimately it's one game. It's an NFC game. So, technically, you can say we're 0-0 still. It'll be fine. It's going to work out the next day.
Yeah. Sky Moore, I think, felt a little bit of the pressure as well. And you know what? Here's something I want to bring up. We saw a lot of this on Twitter, and I just wanted to get this out of the way. Everybody said it was Mahomes because he didn't have his basically his blankie out there, his security blanket with Kelce. I don't agree with that because Mahomes has won and put up 40 points without Kelce and Tyreek on the field at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But who it did affect was the young wide receivers. If you really consider the fact that they have that comfortability of having the best tight end wide receiver in football on the field, that takes a lot of the pressure off of you. But when you're going out there and he's not there, that puts a lot of pressure on you, especially in the first game, and you're a young wide receiver in this league.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it affected them more than it did Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kelce, at the end of the day, basically what Kelce ends up doing is he ends up taking away a lot of defenders. So when he wasn't out there, Mahomes really had to improvise, and he put the balls there, just the guys didn't catch them. And again, we're going to get some people's back, and it's going to work out better in the day. But I do also know this. It's the first game. I said this on our last podcast. The Chiefs went after the Patriots won the Super Bowl. The Chiefs came in, beat them the opening night. Everyone was talking about the dynasty's over. And I believe that same season, the Patriots didn't win the Super Bowl, if I'm correct on that.
Yes.
Or very close, or got back to the Super Bowl. So anything can happen. It's going to work out, so I'm not worried.
Yeah, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm not really worried about the game. I'm more excited. And the Jawan Taylor talk, I mean, look, man, the guy's been doing it for a long time that way. A lot of players do it that way. I did speak with Ricky Sigler today, ex-offensive lineman, that he didn't see anything really wrong with it. He said, look, when you're going up against defensive linemen that are usually, they got the jump on you, which they do. He said it's more difficult. You try to grasp everything you can grasp to get the upper hand as an offensive lineman. And he said, look, I didn't see that much wrong with it. He said, was he off, I guess if you want to consider it not lined up correctly, maybe a couple of times. He said, but moving backwards a little bit. And the guy's got like 90-inch arms. I mean.
So he knows what he's talking about.
He knows what he's talking about. Yeah. He said, look, man, he said, when if you can get an opportunity to stretch your arms out a little bit more and get a little bit of leverage on a defensive player, take that opportunity. He said, now they're going to make a big deal about it. Apparently Doug Peterson made mention of it as well, simply because he was his coach. So now he's going to make a big deal about it because he's going up against us. So it kind of is what it is. Other than that, we can move on. I just wanted to get those few things out of the way. I've been bottling that up for like the last 3 shows. So I was chomping at the bit there. Jaguars. They're missing a couple players now, I guess. Apparently 2 players aren't going to play.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at the injury destination chart. Quinn, did you have a chance to kind of look at the game results thing? Did you run across
You
that
want me
tweet
to
today?
go through the injury report?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead, man.
that'd be
That's
great.
perfect. Let's go and do
Okay,
that.
so yesterday injury report came out. Now this is it's an updated list, but we know how this is. It's sort of arbitrary in the sense that if a guy misses any sort of time, then he has to be put on the injury report. Like Clyde was put on the injury report for an illness, right?
Correct.
Technically, we know that all of these guys practiced. Travis Kelce was there. Chris Jones was there, but he didn't actually practice. They just referred to it as rest. So everybody was at practice, but there are no significant new injuries. Kadarius Toney was still put on the injury report. So the only guys that were limited were Kelce, Snead, and Jones, but none of that surprises us. Nick Jones was actually a full participant in practice.
Oh, okay.
That's,
well, that's
really
good.
wild. That's
that means
crazy.
he's probably going to come back soon.
So was Tershawn Wharton.
I'm glad Wharton is,
yeah. Okay, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
no surprising got hurt or anything like that.
How about the Jags?
They have a couple. Their offensive line is banged up. Their starting guard and center both didn't practice yesterday.
Ooh, okay.
There's no. I don't have any new information on them, but there's a chance that they could be coming up with the offensive line on the fly.
Yeah. Yep, that's what I kind of heard. I heard the center was worse. If I'm not mistaken, I heard the center was worse off.
Both are ankle injuries.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yes, they are.
That's not good.
No, it's not.
Well, Chris Jones,
pretty good for us.
I mean, it is good for the Chiefs. I mean, kind of be interesting to see what Chris Jones can do with that. Coming off this rest he's been on for a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's going to help, look, man. I mean, anything that step in to play a good game, that's the game to play against. So, a couple of young guys that you're just throwing in there, your depth guys. Let's see how that works out. But I don't know that we're going to have as much trouble as we did last week. I don't think we're going to have nearly the trouble as we did.
I think the Chiefs will be more prepared to handle all the issues. I mean, it's the first game of the season. JP, Quinn, when you guys first learned how to ride a bike, did you fall off?
Every damn time.
Yeah.
No, I'm perfect.
Oh, okay. Okay, Quinn's the outlier. Okay. So what we're going to see is that there are going to be some issues that happen. That's just going to happen. They're going to be fine. It's one game. I think the Chiefs have a good chance to go back and do a lot of great things this season. Again, it's an NFC opponent. I feel like it was kind of basically finishing 0-0. I mean, finishing at that point 0-0. They're going to be fine. They'll be able to come back and do what they need to do. So I'm not worried.
Yeah, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I think they're all going to be. I mean, look, man. If I was Andy, I probably would have took the wide receivers coach into the equipment room and smacked him with a few helmets after that game.
How much can you blame the coach, though? Because I feel like it ultimately is on the players, too. Like, they should be the ones studying and things like that. I mean, we're not sitting there looking at their meetings and practice.
Yeah, it's what's that saying? You can take a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink.
And I'm not saying that a guy didn't maybe do a great job, because I'm being honest, I don't know who this person is. Greg Lewis is not with the team no more. He was a great wide receivers coach.
Yes, he was.
I feel like, yes, he maybe could have done some things differently, but I'll also tell you this, bro. Just the way how things worked out wasn't good. And what we're also going to see, too, over time with all these different problems is those players just had to weren't able to live up to the moment. Now they know what the big lights and things, all those things happen. I mean, in a way, it was kind of like a playoff game, for being honest, a little bit. So
yeah. I mean, I think that, I feel like when Mahomes calls a play, especially a passing play, you have three plays that are really there. If your first one breaks down, you go to the second one. If your second one breaks down, you go to the third one. Those guys didn't know their second and third plays. They knew their routes. They knew the original route. They knew what that call was, but they didn't know how to. I guess they didn't know their second and third route. They didn't improvise. They didn't do what they should have done. And when you got guys running into each other and cutting in front of each other, it's not a good sign on a wide receiver coach that's brand new. That's just my opinion. But I'm sure Andy Andy's not a screamer. He's not a cusser. He doesn't yell at people. So I'm
He's
sure
more, let's figure it out. Let's have this. I think Andy and I would probably agree with this. Let's have the issues in the season. So when we get to the off season, when we get to into the regular season and push into playoffs, January, February, we know what to do. We're not dealing with issues. So I feel like that's kind of what's going on there with that.
I agree. Joe Burrow, by the way, threw for 82 yards. I had to say it.
I thought Burrow and Allen played better than. I thought Burrow and Allen were better because of the media and all the stuff they were saying, and they both did not do great. Burrow did especially terrible and got benched. They tried to upsize that whole thing by loosening the contract details like during the game. I'm sorry, but Mahomes is just on another level. Nothing can convince me at this point. They got to win a Super Bowl for them to be talking.
Well, you know what? Here's another thing too. Anybody that reads that puts any stock into what PFF says should just stop now. They had our defense ranked 30th in week 1. 30th. 253 yards and 1 touchdown. Now the Giants, on the other hand, 40-0. What their defense do? Somebody else Miami put up 444 yards of offense just in passing alone. And 4 touchdowns. I don't know where they came up with this stat other than just a bunch of kids sitting in a room and, they throw some analytics in the computer and whatever it spits out, they make up their own rules after the fact. I think it's a bunch of bullshit, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. I couldn't believe they came up and said our defense was ranked 30th in that game. I don't know where they came up with those numbers, but they ran for 116 yards and 253 yards of total passing yards and 1 touchdown. I don't know where they came up with that. Other teams were giving up 500 and 600 yards.
Again, it's an analytic thing. They throw a bunch of stuff in there, and it kind of just works like that. They have a formula of what they do, and that's just how things end up working.
It's terrible. Cynthia Freeland has a formula too, but she's not stupid. She doesn't. She doesn't ad-lib the formula. She just,
Well, it does have some merit because I do believe too with the formula I feel like they're all right about a lot of things, but there are some things where you're like, are you sure about that?
Yeah.
So again, it's numbers. It doesn't see the full picture like we see it as fans.
Yeah, I guess not. I don't know. It was very strange to me, but man, I got us to that Aaron Rodgers injury was unbelievable. I don't care what anyone says, that they need to get rid of turf. I've been saying this for a long time. They need to get rid of it.
Quentin, what are your thoughts on turf? I know we didn't get a chance to talk about the turf grass. I know it's on pretty much every high school.
Yeah, I think that there's a reason why NFL players continuously talk about how they like to play on grass. I think that, even though turf has gotten better, right? This isn't your dad's or your granddad's turf, right? They have improved it over the years, right? We're not playing at the Kansas City Metrodome, okay? We're not playing on literally concrete and carpet. It is better, but it's not grass. When you're comparing, a quality field like Arrowhead to even a place like New York where they just replaced their turf, I think you see the difference in it, right? There's a reason why soccer players refuse to play on turf, and they have it in their contracts that they refuse to play on turf and they will only play on a grass surface. There's, you listen to former players talk about how, when you play on turf, you end up, your legs are more sore the next day because you're running on that ground, and instead of the ground taking the shock, it sends some of it back up to your knees, and so you wake up and you're just a little bit more sore the next day. And you see the running backs that when they try and make a cut and they twist their foot a little bit,
worse.
The grass just tears out, but that turf will get caught in your cleat and you can slip, or worse, that jerk goes up to your knee and you take an ACL. And the NFL, and I wish we would have.
It's all about money.
Absolutely. The NFL did research on the amount of injuries that happen on turf versus grass. And over the last 10 years, there's only been 1 year where turf did better than grass. Now, that 1 year, they talk about that 1 year all the time. That's
Yeah.
their one saving
That's their
grace.
go-to. Yeah.
Except for the fact that that's just an outlier because 90% of the rest of the study says that grass is better. But you're absolutely right. It's a money thing, right? These owners, the people, the Jerry Joneses of the world want to be able to put on concerts on their stadium because they own the stadium, so they get all the revenue from their stadium. And if they don't have to maintain and grow the grass, then that's money they're going to save up front. And it's ridiculous at this point, right? This is we're talking about billions and billions of dollars. And when a guy like Aaron Rodgers goes down, I can tell you right now, less people are going to be interested in watching Jets games because of it. Less people are going to be buying Jets merchandise because of it. So, I mean, in the end, I don't really know how much money you're saving by having grass in there.
You're not.
Concerts,
but
that's the thing. You're not saving any money.
But here's the thing. It's better for the product, though. If you put some investment in this, is going to be better for the product. Now, I guess if you want to have it to where you can have a turf field that can come up, they can figure out some way of adding a turf field. They can bring it for their concert, all those different things. But for the betterment of the game and the product that the NFL is trying to sell, that's something you're going to have to invest in. Like, you're going to have to do that. That's just one of the things that they want to get to a certain point.
Well, here's the thing.
That's pretty much what comes down to there.
You're not saving any. Look, you know what's going to come down to? It's going to come down to exactly what Chris Jones wants right now. Guaranteed injury money. Because when it all boils down to it, you're not saving shit if your players are going down left and right because of injuries. And, I put out a tweet with a slow-mo of how Aaron Rodgers' cleat looked when his calf basically extended and he tore his Achilles or his ACL. That would, if his foot would have been able to slide naturally on grass, that wouldn't have happened. He's not wearing steel cleats. So his foot wasn't dug down into anything other than rubber. Rubber meeting rubber in heat gets sticky. And when your foot gets stuck in that stuff and you got a 300-pound guy coming down on top of you, if you can't slide your foot out from underneath it, that's what happens.
Yeah,
I had guys argue with me on Twitter about it, saying, that 2/3 of injuries happen on grass. Okay, well, tell me. And one guy said, well, explain this guy, explain that guy. I said, are they quarterbacks? No. I said, how many injuries happened this last week that were quarterbacks that tore their ACL? Oh, just the one. Exactly. Quarterbacks are not wide receivers. They're not running backs. They're not people under constant pressure, making constant cuts, making runs continually, and never stopping.
Well, and and I don't mean to interrupt you, JP, but I mean, we saw that J.K. Dobbins tore his Achilles on the Ravens field, and I think they use turf as well. So again, it just comes down
it's grass, actually.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, injuries are going to happen, but in order to protect the product, you got to do something. Now, will they change? Probably not. Honestly, the only way that's going to happen is this. You have guys like Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joey Burrow, and let's say 5 quarterbacks this season tear their Achilles or tear their ACL due to the turf. I hope that doesn't happen, but that's the only way things are going to change because that there is going to hurt their revenue. That's the only way that's going to happen.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, look, man, they're expanding in so many different countries, doing all these different things. They're buying into the 7-on-7 league, the flag football. They're making money hand over fist. The owners need to actually own up to some of this as well because Arrowhead, one guy said, well, it's not practical to play on grass for 20 games.
No, it's
really because
you can do that. Turf, no.
I mean, okay, first of all, I don't know what he meant by it wouldn't be practical other than the fact that you got to maintain the grass. We've been maintaining the grass for, 55 years? And then, one guy brought up the fact that, one team, or I can't remember, said something about one team playing on a field, or you can't have multiple teams playing on a field. But that's not true because the Raiders, the Rams, and the Trojans all played on the same grass field, and they maintained it. So I don't want to hear about
it's just care and the time and the
it's
money.
Bullshit.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, you can do it. It's just having a system in place in order to make sure everything's all good to go.
Yeah, it's just frustrating to me. I mean, it's annoying. They wonder why players want all of this money. This is why. If anybody wants to bitch and complain about the reason why players want money, this is the reason why. Because nobody else gives a crap. Aaron Rodgers should not be laying at home or even standing on the sidelines right now. He shouldn't be. And that really hurts. In my opinion, it hurt. I feel bad for the Jets fans. That's terrible.
Yeah, they've been having all these issues happening just with quarterbacks getting hurt on that turf field.
On that damn field. And don't get me wrong, that field's dog crap. It has been for a long time. They've never done anything to really do anything with that field to make it any better. And those little pellets that they put underneath it don't soften the blow that much. They just don't. There's a little pellet pad that they put underneath the
box
turf.
Stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't help that much. Every team needs to do what the Raiders did, even what Arizona did, not overwater it, but grow your grass outside if you don't want it inside and roll it in on trays. In fact, the Raiders have 2 sets of grass that they grow, and they roll it in and roll it out.
Well, that's one smart thing the Raiders have actually done with their organization. So I have to give them the
exactly.
I've been on their field, right? When I was in Las Vegas, I toured the stadium, and they have that tray, right, that they roll in, and underneath that tray is a turf field. So when they're not using it, it's outside growing, and there's a turf field that's underneath where the grass would be. So when you go onto the field, you actually have to step down to get onto it. But when the grass comes in, it's level with the rest of the building.
That's
so
nice.
Yeah, you can make it work. It's just whether or not they want to put the investment in.
Sadly, I don't know. I mean, has anybody ever priced turf? I mean, I have.
Expensive.
It is not cheap. Cooling turf to do a little tiny yard in Las Vegas is 10, 12 grand. And I'm talking about a 30 by 60 yard. I'm not talking about like some big giant yard. This is a tiny little yards. So it's very expensive to maintain. It breaks apart. It starts to dry rot. I don't know. I don't get the concept. I know that they can get them to last a little bit longer now than they used to, but to me, I think it's just a detriment to the game. And you're right, Quentin, 100%. I mean, there's soccer players out there that refuse to play on it. They'll sit out a game if they're playing on someplace where there is turf. They will sit out a game before. And I don't think there is turf left in soccer now, is there?
I think it's just mainly grass.
Yeah.
I think it's just mainly grass.
I mean, like I said, there are top level players in the European leagues and the Premier League. I watched it last time.
Yeah, it's Premier League.
There are players that inside their contracts they refuse to play on turf. That's why part of the controversy right now is that the World Cup's coming to the United States, and some of these NFL teams will be replacing their turf with grass, so they can hold FIFA games.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they won't do that for the NFL players that play on it 8 to 10 times a year.
I'll be honest with you. I think once they go in, those aren't leaving. I think we're going to see the NFL is going to make a change within the next year.
They're going to have to.
I think you're very hopeful.
Well, Quentin, I will tell you this. I'm going to shoot for that moon, but I'm going to land on one of them stars.
You know what happens when you get close to a star? You burn up, Icarus.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna be the whatever of those superheroes that don't burn up. I'm gonna keep going.
He'd be Flash. Isn't that his name, Flash?
Flash was the fast one. I don't know who the one that's.
I don't know what the guy is on fire, but
is that
anyway,
or something? Yeah, Torch.
Thank you.
It's not that hard.
Quentin, I don't be looking at that stuff all the time.
I don't either. I just know it because that's a torch.
Where's Torch even from? What?
Fantastic Four?
Well, they haven't made a Fantastic Four movie in like 20 years. How am I supposed to know?
I don't know. No trivia.
Oh, okay. Well, fine. That's fine.
Get good.
Right. Get good. All right. That's fine. I'm going to remember that. I'm going to remember that.
Alba is hot. Anyway, if you guys have seen Fantastic Four. Moving forward, let's talk about this Jag game. Because I think we have to look at it from a different perspective. First of all, I want to bring this up really quick. Chris Jones said something in his presser that I absolutely knew he was gonna bring up, and I knew this was going to be said. I'm not gonna lie. Some of the things on Twitter that these fans said got to me, but I kept receipts. You can't go out and bash a player when you don't think he's coming back, and then he shows back up and you're deleting shit because all these guys are taking screenshots. Everybody. I have a screenshot of a Bengals fan that wanted to trash Mahomes until Burrow threw 82 yards. So, and I'm going to use it probably 10 or 12 times and make a couple memes out of it. But that's just me. I'm just saying, you got to watch what you say, especially when you're getting too deep into this stuff and you get too rude, because when that player comes back, he's going to remember and he's going to stick that up when you try to talk to him on Twitter and you want him to answer back.
That would be funny if Chris Jones just starts putting out tweets.
If he does, I'm going to pee my pants.
That's going to be funny. That is
What's up, Chiefs Live?
His quote talking about the receipts was so funny. He was so jovial in that press conference. He was so laid back and loose, and I know that he talked about, and I was listening to that press conference live. Mm-hmm. He just talked about how there's no bad blood between us, between the me and the organization, and I'm happy to be back. And it truly was the vibe of just it's behind us. We're all moving on. Mm-hmm. Let's play some football, and I think that's what a lot of Chiefs fans needed to hear. Yeah. Just to move past this, and we can just watch football now and not have to deal with the off-field stuff.
Yeah,
the drama.
That was a little stressful. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's over. Thank God. I mean, we knew it was going to end at some point.
It's over for now.
I honestly don't think
point,
it's going to
Caleb.
happen.
It's over for now.
We're gonna get
here in about 6 months. We're gonna be having this conversation.
I'm about to say we're gonna have part 2. The Chris Jones tweets book number 1. Chris Jones tweets number 2. Off-season edition. Oh, great. Then we had training camp edition. Now we're gonna get off-season edition. I'm just saying they need to have a book and all the tweets and everyone's reactions to it. It would be. I think it would sell.
All I can say is that I bet you anything, Michael Katz doesn't answer another phone call unless his brother's on the phone and Chris Jones is on the phone, because he made a big fat mistake. And I bet you anything now. And here, this is something else that people need to realize, because I did talk to an agent a couple of days ago, and I asked him, I said, just out of curiosity, do you guys actually tell players everything? What do you mean? I said, well, if you're negotiating a contract and you're working on a deal and, you go back to the player and you say, hey, this is what they offered. Do you tell them exactly what they offered, or do you kind of flub it just a little bit because you want to make a little bit more money?
Oh, they flub it easily.
And he goes, we absolutely flub it. He goes, every one of them flub it. He goes, we don't want the player knowing, because it's like, he says, it's like if you're a lawyer and you're working on you're an ambulance chaser and you're working on an injury case and they want to settle for $500,000 and then you want $650,000. You don't tell the client that they're going to give you $500,000, because the client's going to dive right on it. Mm-hmm. If you think you can get a little bit more, that's because that 33% is going in your pocket, then you're going to get a little bit more.
And also, too, I mean, that's kind of one of the reason. I mean, the agent's supposed to kind of be the buffer zone so the player doesn't feel treated bad
or pressured. Or, yeah.
But I mean, with the Lamar Jackson situation, with his mom being his agent, that stuff's still going to happen. I do believe, however, I would do it. Now, if I was an agent, I would be truthful with the player. Now, I mean, it would be nice to get a certain percentage and all those different things, but I feel like sometimes you guys just got to take the deal what's available. Now, if the Chiefs were treating him bad and all the different things, and say he was on the Jets and did this, yeah, I can see them going a different direction. But with the Chiefs organization, I just kind of felt someone's not telling the truth, or as a whole, the suicides just dug in. Like they couldn't have no wiggle room, which I thought was odd, because I'm like, well, Chris Jones has said he wants to be in Kansas City for the rest of his life. And I knew when he said that quote, I'm like, okay, we're in for a fun time, because whenever he says that, we go through the book 1 of Chris Jones tweets, training camp edition. That's really what we're going through. And then we get the offseason edition. I mean, the same thing happened, guys, after they won the Super Bowl when he got signed. There was some turmoil before that Super Bowl season. He didn't even show up to OTAs. He was going to camp and like, well, I got to study extra. I can go to OTAs. And I knew at that point, he's not going to go to extra stuff. Mahomes and Kelce will, but Chris Jones just won't do it. And that's fine. That's fine. But also, if Mahomes and Kelce can take a pay cut, why can't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Joe Toney took one, restructured his deal.
But I think he's won a Super Bowl. He's happy with what he's with, and he's like, you know what? I want to be on this team at least another year. It's all about the long-term game and the accolades and things that can be given and received.
And how much money? I mean, look, he went from getting a $70 million fully guaranteed injury contract and a $66 million fully guaranteed contract down to a $56 million fully guaranteed contract because of an agent.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went to a 1-year deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, that deal proves like I need to come back and prove myself here, which is nothing wrong. But I mean, he should know Visa's not just going to jump on something just because someone says jump. It's going to take some time. You have another year deal. Now, it would have been nice for the restructuring if they could have got it done. That'd be great, but that's just that's not what happened.
Well, and you know what? If you really look at the Cat Brothers resume, he's the biggest fish they got. I mean, okay, they got Jody Fortson.
Yeah, Byron Pringle too.
By the way, they got Byron Pringle. He's not making them giant money.
Mm-hmm.
All the guys that they have are not making them huge contracts. Chris Jones is the biggest fish they have. They're not they're not Drew. So, they're not NFL superstars. They are the Cat Brothers. Mm-hmm. Sorry, but I mean, it is what it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, no one really knows who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a bunch of memes and stuff, but I mean, no one really knows what they do. Everyone knows Rosenhaus. He's been around here for a long time. And there's certain agents we know. Lee Steinberg was very popular, I think, in the 90s.
Yeah, so 90s and 2000s.
Yeah, so I mean, it just kind of depends on who you line yourself with. Now, will Chris Jones get rid of his agent? It's possible. You never know. Tyreek Hill got rid of his agent with Rosenhaus, and he got paid $30 a year. So
Yep. So, and he almost got rid of him when that happened in 2018. He almost fired his agent because he wouldn't take a deal then. So, anyway, moving on to this Jags game. So we're going to see some differences. We can almost guarantee we're going to see some differences. I will say that Rashee Rice played very well in that game.
First catch was a touchdown.
Was wide open all the time. Seemed like he had his routes pretty much down except for one flubbed up mistake there. But for the most part, he did really well. Watson did well. I feel like, and I want to know your guys' opinion because I've been kind of, like I said, out of the loop for a couple of days, but I feel like Toney is going to come back with a redemption game. And I want to know who you think is going to score the first receiving touchdown this Sunday for the Chiefs.
Quentin, let's start with you.
Well, if it's anything like last week where we saw two quarterbacks throw their pass to themselves, maybe Patrick Mahomes catches a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
I think they're going to target Kadarius Toney often. I think they're going to, let's just look at the history of an Andy Reid offense. Remember when Kareem Hunt fumbled the ball on his first his first take in the NFL, and going into that game, everybody was talking about how he had never fumbled in college and his ball security was through the roof. And he fumbles it. What did they do? As soon as they got the ball back, they handed the ball to him.
Yep.
That's what they did. So I think Kadarius Toney is going to get prioritized in this offense on the first drive. There's a real chance that he gets targeted 3 or 4 times on the first drive. And if you get the ball in Toney's hands, there's always a chance he's going to make that big play. That's the point in his offense. That's the whole reason why everybody's excited that he's on the Kansas City Chiefs is because of that explosiveness potential. So I think giving the odds for Toney is probably the better bet out of the two.
Okay. I'm going to have to say Sky Moore. I think there's a chance. I know he didn't have the best game. I know he can play up to a really good standard. I think there's a good chance he can get it. It wouldn't be surprised me if Rashee Rice gets it, but I'm going to go with the underline and say Sky Moore. Justin Ross, I don't think they're going to throw him in there. I mean, he's a lot. I think he's going to get it slowly but surely, but I think Sky Moore is going to be a quick bubble screen or something to the side where he just makes a couple moves, or they might do on a jet sweep. So
Ross is one of the better route runners on our team. If you really had to kind of lay it down, he's probably right up there with everybody. I mean, he's a phenomenal route runner. I don't know if he's going to get a bunch of touches yet. I think they're going to ease him in a little bit here, a little bit there, which I don't know if that's.
I feel like you got to throw him in a little bit more this week. Now, I know last week was a weird thing, but he did catch his pass for 6 yards and did not drop the ball. I will say that.
He did.
Everyone else dropped the pass.
Did you watch? I mean, if you go back and you look at any of the All-22 film on that, man, Rashee Rice and Justin Ross both run such clean routes. I mean, their route running ability is amazing. They just have to remember what their second route is. They have to remember what their third route is.
And again, that's time.
It's just time. It's just gel. It is what it is. I was going to go with Kelce simply because I feel like he was, I will tell you, if anybody hasn't heard this, he was pissed when they told him he couldn't play last week to the point of throwing things in the locker room. And then it kind of boiled out onto the field. You could see it on his face. He was not happy. He did not like standing on that sideline.
Well, at least he cares.
He cares, and he
wanted to play. A lot of people don't care.
Absolutely. I don't know how much they're going to play him. It really depends on how he looks throughout the rest of the week. But I feel like
he's playing.
I do too. I think he's going to play. I just don't know how much. I don't know if they're going to put him on a pitch count or a snap count. I don't know what they're going to do. I feel like they're just going to play him as like normal, like they did with his back injury. Although this was a bone bruise, so it's a little bit different. I wanted to go with Kelce, and I still kind of want to go with Kelce, but I agree with you, Caleb, or Quentin, whoever said they were going to target Toney a bunch. I think it was Quentin.
Yep, that's Quentin.
I haven't slept a lot lately, as you guys know. The one thing I will say is that you can't shy away from a player because they had a bad game. If you do that, you kill their confidence level. And that's one thing that Andy is huge on, is making sure these guys are confident in what they do. He's done it with CEH. He's done it with, again, Kareem Hunt. He's done it with Sky Moore. He's done it with even McCall Hardman. Players love Andy because he doesn't just bench them and say, sorry, you suck, like a lot of coaches do. The only player that I can remember him actually, and it really wasn't him that benched him, was Shady McCoy. Yeah. That was actually Bieniemy that benched him at that time. So I feel like Toney's probably going to get a lot of targets right off the bat. I feel like if we can get up on them with our defense as well as they played tonight, we haven't even touched on that, but I feel like you're going to see a little bit of Ross in there, but I think Toney's going to be the guy that's going to get a lot of the targets at the beginning of the game. I think he's going to be there's going to be plays specifically for him so he can get that out of his head, that bad golf swing out of his head, and that's what they really need to do. And I see Andy doing that. So,
okay.
Now to the defense really quick. I know you guys probably already talked about this, but I haven't had a chance to. I think our defense played really freaking well.
Yeah, they played pretty good without Chris Jones.
They did.
Only allowed 14 points.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's phenomenal for a team that is missing their star defensive player and a bunch of younger guys in the backfield. Again, most of them are second-year players. They did a great job. There's no complaints about the defense whatsoever. I mean, people, I don't know what they were complaining about, but they just like to complain. But our defense was phenomenal in that game. I don't like Jared Goff. I'm going to say it again. I think he's arrogant. I don't think he's lost his arrogance. I thought he'd get humble going to the Lions when they were really crappy when he got there. He's still arrogant. He's still arrogant. He's still got that face. The face those faces you just want to smack. He's got one of those faces that you just want to smack.
Well, I feel like he's put in the time. I mean, obviously he's more of a McVay and them. There was a chance, I think, if some things would have went their way in Super Bowl, they could have possibly won. But he is basically the bridge quarterback, an outside quarterback, has a better arm. I think he did some great things and continue to do some good things. I say this all the time. Every game the Chiefs will be playing is going to be another team's Super Bowl. The Chiefs are going to be playing basically 16 more Super Bowls because that's the way the way it's going to work with the other teams because they're at the top of the mountain. They're picking on him because of the Jawan Taylor. What's you doing with the tackling? Even though several other individuals have done it way longer, but apparently it's just the Chiefs do it. Oh, it's a problem. So again, it is what it is with that, but it's going to work out. So I'm not worried.
Yeah, they didn't change the rule for us like they did Brady. So I mean, it's not like all they did was reprimand us. So anyway, do you guys want to talk a little bit about your score predictions for Sunday?
Yeah, we can end the show with that.
Who wants to go? Because we're just sitting here like a bunch of dead people.
We're not dead.
I do have my believe it or nots to go over too.
Oh, we got to do that too.
Yeah,
so let's do the believe it or nots first, and then we'll do the score predictions.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
I'm glad you said that because it was just dead silent.
Yeah, we didn't do it. We didn't do them last week because I don't think I was on the show last Thursday.
No, Justin and I were on.
Or last Tuesday because it was a Thursday night show. Yeah. Okay, so I actually, in my believe it or not, I actually had the whole Kadarius Toney getting targeted 3 or 4 times. But so let's just change it up a little bit.
Let's change it.
I actually want to talk a little bit about the Chiefs run game a little bit. So Clyde got a significant amount of snaps, especially early in the game. So believe it or not, Clyde gets a similar amount of production.
Not
the Jaguars.
No, I don't know what they were doing.
Showcasing.
Okay, look. Showcase this, showcase that. It doesn't matter. Look,
perfect
you're trying
game
to win.
Showcase
You're trying to win games. You're trying to win. He wasn't even breaking off big runs, but Chuck was the one.
I understand, but it's the perfect game to showcase him in. Since
the perfect game is whenever you're beating someone by 15 going to the fourth quarter, and you're up 15 and you have the ball. That's when you can showcase. I just feel like this idea of showcasing with the Chiefs is at the wrong times.
Maybe. Yeah, I think
that's
you're
just
right.
me. That's just me.
I think they just did it because it's an NFC team. You can do it before the trade deadline and just move forward.
True.
So I think that's why they were doing it. But nobody wants to give a bag of stale chips and Diet Coke for him. So I mean, it's hard.
I think that maybe they were doing it because they wanted to ease Pacheco back in with his shoulder.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So I choose to believe that this wasn't a showcase, that this was just we're going to ease our guy back in.
That's possible. I can see that.
As long as everybody's got to have a belief.
Yeah, I'm full of them.
I know. Me too.
They change all the time. Okay, believe it or not, Kansas City gets 3.5 sacks. Over under type deal here.
Yeah, I absolutely say over.
I'm gonna have to say under.
Yeah.
I gotta believe it to see it. I gotta see this team get some great pressure on the quarterback. I just don't see it happening this time around. They may get 2, but 3, I don't know. I'm just gonna say this every time the Chiefs go against a offensive line that is not great, they underperform. So I'm just putting that out there. They underperform, and we just get mad all the time. Frank Clark went against a backup who was a rookie and couldn't get a sack. I'm just saying, it looks some pain. People on Twitter were complaining for weeks about that one.
Yeah. I don't think Chris Jones is going to underperform in this game if he's playing full bore. I don't think he's going to underperform. I think Karlaftis has got a lot to prove. So I feel like if they're missing their center and their right guard, there's a good opportunity to get 3+ sacks.
I don't think the sacks are going to come, but I think the pressure is definitely going to be there. FAU has been surprisingly good. And it's just, we haven't talked about him a lot. And I think part of it was just the injury coming into camp, and he missed a lot of off-season programming, and there isn't as much pressure on him as there was on Karlaftis last year. So I think he's just sort of flying under the radar. But between him, Jones being back, which is a huge deal, Karlaftis, like I said, is just turns out to be a guy that can swim around the edge. So I think the pressure is definitely going to be there, but I think Trevor Lawrence is a guy that can get rid of the football pretty quickly. So I don't know if the sack numbers are going to be there, but this is not me degrading the Chiefs defensive line.
Yeah.
Okay. Final, believe it or not, Calvin Ridley just went on a tear last week. So
which we expected against the Colts.
Believe it or not, Calvin Ridley ends the game with 75 yards.
Yes.
Yeah.
You think he's going to torch us?
I don't think he's going to torch us,
Maybe
but I
you
think
can torch us.
He's going to get a couple big plays.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chiefs defense, historically, it takes the first 8 weeks to figure things out. Now, granted, the first week, 14 points, did a pretty good job. You're going to get some better offense this time. And the Chiefs defense has got a significant upgrade with Chris Jones. So I think they can stop him, but I feel like he is going to get his.
I think he's going to get one big freaking catch for 75 yards. That's what I feel like is going to happen.
I say one big for 30 yards.
I don't know, man.
One big 30 yards.
I wouldn't be upset if Calvin Ridley got some good yardage.
He's on your fantasy team?
A bunch of catches. And he may or may not be
he's on my fantasy
football teams, or at least one.
Oh,
okay. He may or may not be on my fantasy football team. I don't know. I don't know.
So how do you deal with that when you got a player playing against the Chiefs?
I just don't have the Chiefs defense. That's what I do. I just choose not to have the Chiefs defense.
Okay, you're like, as long as they win, no one gets hurt, you're fine.
To be fair,
okay.
I have
Patrick He pulls the Adam rank, man.
I have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Kadarius Toney. So I'm riding the Chiefs offense.
Okay, if that's what you want to do, I'm just
Calvin
saying.
Ridley.
Man, that's I got. He's like the second coming of friggin' Megatron to me, man. That guy's so good. I mean, he's so good. He's good.
I mean, he was under Julio Jones for so long, and then when it was his time to sort of step up,
he stepped up.
He got caught for the illegal gambling, you know.
Yeah, but he's so good though. I mean, man, he's good. When I heard they signed him, and I thought, man, I hope he's rusty, because I've been on this Jags bandwagon, and that's who we're going to play in the AFC Championship game. And I still feel that way. But again, they played the Colts. It's not like they played anybody that was ridiculously good. That's a terrible football team.
Yeah. And bonus question, the last time the Chiefs played in Jacksonville, the TV van caught on fire. So does the van catch on fire again?
No.
No, I don't think it does this time. Unless somebody actually just gets pissed and lights it on fire, I don't know if that'll happen. But that's funny. I forgot about that.
The last time we played, wasn't there a fight between a bunch of the Chiefs?
It was early in the year, and it was really hot out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I just remember Tyreek Hill was having a game, and then we missed like the last 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
But at that point, it was a blowout. So
they were like, for competitive reasons, they were like, no, we still want to watch the game.
Yeah.
I remember that.
The van caught on fire.
Yeah.
The TV van did.
The TV van caught on
fire. Out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Because it was so hot.
Yeah.
Oh, man, the crazy stuff that goes on in the NFL. You got to love it.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about these running backs really quick.
Well,
I know you want to do that, Quentin. Are you frozen?
No, you brought up a topic, and then...
No, you said you wanted to talk about the running backs. So I said you...
that was my Pacheco bit.
Your Pacheco bit. Okay, I just want to make sure.
The Chiefs running back, bro.
Safe. Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure. All right, let's do some score predictions then.
I'll go first. I think the Chiefs can win this game. It's going to be tough. So for all those who are going to be freaking out because this, and that didn't happen, I think the Chiefs can win this game. I'm going to say about 6-7 points, give them about a touchdown. I'm going to say 33-26 Chiefs.
Okay.
It's a fun score. I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm just going to make it a 31-24. But I don't think the Chiefs pull away until late. I think this is a pretty close game.
Okay.
I actually made my prediction on the PSF app, and I'm going to say I'm going to say what I said there: 36-24 Chiefs. I feel like this is a redemption game for them. I feel like they're just going to come out and really showcase everybody they got.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mahomes threw to 8 different guys in the first half last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to be one of those games where they just come out and really show who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And Mahomes is still pissed off about that game, and you can't get him too mad. So
yeah. Well,
other than that,
I think we covered everything.
I think we got it all. So I appreciate everybody for joining, and we will talk to you guys again on Sunday right after the game. What time are we going to do the show? An hour after, or is it right after the game?
Right after. It's a noon game, so we'll all be here.
Yeah,
we'll all be here and ready to go. So we will talk to you guys again after the game on Sunday. Peace out, everybody.